Hi, this is Dr. Eileen Barrett. I'm the Director of GME Wellness Initiatives in the Office of Professional Wellbeing, and in this module, we will talk about time management hacks. Before doing so, there should be some level setting, and specifically, there are some foundations that we should all embrace when we think about time management. The first is that everybody is busy. The second is that things will go better when we plan, even if our plan is imperfect. That time management habits can help us manage the work, and also that time management skills can help us manage the work. And specifically, we can build these skills so that they can turn into habits. And then lastly, that having a system to manage work will be critical for managing the work, but also managing the stress. And of course, a very important quote that is often said about how we manage our time and how we manage our lives is this one from Winston Churchill, and I'll read it briefly. For the first 25 years of my life, I wanted freedom. For the next 25 years, I wanted order. For the next 25 years, I realized that order is freedom. So of course, what that is not that we should be dogmatic or strict, but to recognize that having a system to manage our time and to manage the amount of work that we do, both at work and at home, will be critical for us. One popular way to manage our work is through the Eisenhower Urgent Important Matrix. In this matrix, you should be very clear on your goals and that this will determine your priorities. And specifically, we should always think about what is urgent versus what is non-urgent and what is important versus unimportant. Why this is so critical is because we'll need to compare them to each other. So oftentimes how people do this is really they just set up a basic 2x2 table, as you can see here, with on one axis will be how urgent it is, on the other axis how important it is. The next step, of course, will be thinking about our priorities. What's good about using this matrix is that the things that fall into the different 2x2 the different squares in the 2x2 table can really help guide us for what comes next. So say, for example, in the top left corner, what is important and what is urgent, these are things that are necessities. What is important and what is non-urgent in the top right corner, this is really about our effectiveness. And specifically, because what we would like to do is for things that are important but aren't urgent, these are the things that really take planning, and so this is how we can be more effective in our lives, and also to decrease stress. For on the bottom row, things that are urgent but not important, these are really distractions, and so we want to do our best to try to minimize those. And things that are non-urgent and not important, those are things that often are wasteful for us. So what can this look like in our day? Say, for example, in the Eisenhower Matrix, we want to go from the top left, what is important and what is urgent. These are the necessities. So these are really our important deadlines, our crises, our emergencies, and our last-minute work. So we don't want most things to fall into this. Instead, where we want to be is effective, which is when things are important, but they're not urgent because we've done the planning ahead of time. So that can be, again, prevention and planning, maybe learning, exercise, restoration, having fulfilling relationships, and doing proactive work. What we want to do is try to minimize the others. So things that are urgent and not important, those are distractions, such as needless interruptions, unnecessary work, irrelevant meetings, and unimportant emails, phone calls, tasks, etc. And then lastly, things that are non-urgent and not important, those things are really time wasters, such as trivial work, procrastination activities, and even things like gossip. So some things that we would characterize as urgent and important would be things like paying the mortgage or the rent, also finishing your charts. Things that are important and non-urgent because you've done the planning for them, so it doesn't mean that they're any less important. It means that it is not an emergency to get these things done because you have structured them into your life. That includes things like work on scholarship, doing grocery shopping, sleeping, exercise, and laundry. Versus the things that are not important. So not important and urgent, that's email during the day, maybe other people's minor issues. Versus not important, not urgent, maybe cleaning the house and social media. And so how we can think about these very strategically would be things that are important and urgent, we should address these, try to avoid them with planning. But then things that are important and not urgent, so we try to address these prospectively. So maybe, for example, what we would do is set up auto pay for our bills, pre-order groceries online for pickup, plan our vacations ahead of time, plan our education time, plan our time for friends, schedule exercise and sleep, and maybe even schedule EMR training so we have less time spent on the work that we are doing. And then the things that are not important but urgent, so maybe that's how we can manage that, is check our email at pre-specified times rather than randomly throughout the day. We can unsubscribe from mass emails, maybe turn off push notifications on our phones, those things that are constantly sort of annoying us and distracting us. And the things that are not important and not urgent, so maybe close or at least minimize our social media accounts, maybe hire a cleaning service, avoid gossip, and maybe think about a laundry drop-off such as a wash and fold service. This can be very effective for people, and all of these examples that are listed here are some that have worked for other physicians and clinicians, both in training and after training. There are, however, some additional strategies and also skills that we can use. The first is that whenever we're going to do any new work, we should always clarify the expectations of us. The next is to reuse our previous material, not to make it boring or uninteresting, but ideally what we'll be able to do is create something once, reuse it multiple times. We really can demonstrate our expertise in this way and not recreate the wheel every time. We can also develop templates and checklists, and then lastly do some time boxing for our work. What is time boxing? Time boxing is when you look at your calendar and you say, how long will it take to do this task that I need to do? For example, I think that realistically it will take 2 hours, so then just set aside time that is between 5 and 7 o'clock, I will complete this task. This is often very effective for people. Other things that we can do to help us manage our time will be to improve our focus. Focus is dependent on many physical and mental factors. Some things that really help us improve our focus include rest, reducing interruptions, having appropriate lighting, having positive emotions, and reducing noise and improving focus. Something to notice, of course, would be that alcohol can decrease our focus, so can hunger, negative emotions, interruptions, and also excess caffeine can do so too. So we'll want to be very careful about all of those. Some additional efficiency and focus hacks can include that to log out of your email when you're doing other work, because for most of us, our email will send us a ping when we get a new email, and that act will interrupt our train of thought and will increase our inefficiency. Again, we can check our email, maybe sports scores, the news at pre-specified times during the day rather than throughout the day. This can really help people improve their focus but also decrease distractions. Other hacks include turning off push notifications on the phone. Also, if you're able to, switch your phone to airplane mode for a short period of time, even if you just want to try to finish one task that you know you need focused attention for 10 minutes, and it won't have any clinical consequences of having your phone on airplane mode. Think about doing this. It can really help us a lot. Additional tips, including getting additional EMR training. If you email powerchartsynergy@salud.unm.edu, they can meet with you or with your group and provide customized and at times even one-to-one EMR training. And then another thing to consider is to use earbuds without the sound on or even noise-canceling headsets when we're at the computer. The last thing I'll mention would be that all of us increase our productivity when we take a short break at least once an hour to walk, to stretch, and it helps us reset our mind, reset our focus. We covered a lot of information in a short amount of time, and I want to extend my thank you to Drs. Eichhoff, Morales, Avila, Johansson, and Lawrence for their feedback, and I welcome your feedback, comments, questions, and your suggestions, either to the email you can see here at the Office of Professional Wellbeing or to my own personal email. Thank you for your time.